Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with Serkworks, and this is Beyond 100 Days of Making Comics, where typically I pick up where I left off on my 100 Days of Making Comics journey. And what that is, that's where you spend at least 30 minutes every day working on your own personal comic book project, and then you vlog about it and let people know how your progress is going. Hopefully you do that daily. I wrapped that up. I did that daily for 100 days, and then I started doing weekly updates. And if you've been following this, you'll know I kind of fell off the track, and I apologize for that. There's been a lot going on right now. Picking up where we left off on the last video, I explained that I had a hard drive crash and also my backup drive stopped working. So I lost a lot of stuff, and I've been trying to recover that. Still no success as far as that goes. So what we ended up doing was we sent the drive out to somebody my computer guy has talked to or knows or whatever, or I don't know what the deal is, but somebody he recommended. And I guess if I understand it correctly, what they're trying to do is, the problem is the drive isn't firing or isn't booting up or whatever. They think the information is probably still on that drive. So what they were going to try to do is, instead of having to go through the whole thing where you have to take it into a clean room where you got the white gloves and it's, no dust and all that kind of stuff, which gets really expensive. What they were going to try to do is, I guess they were going to try to do something where they take the drive out of the case or something. I don't really, again, I don't really understand this, but put it in a new, take whatever the disc is in there and put it in a new one or something. Anyway, we shipped it out, got to the people that were supposedly, we talked to, and they said, yeah, we do that kind of stuff and everything. And when they got it, they're like, oh, we don't do that. So, we paid to have it shipped out and everything like that. So anyway, it's back. The drive right now is back in the hands of my computer guy, and it's kind of like now he doesn't, it's like he's got other stuff he's working on. So I think I'm going to have to take it upon myself to find a solution myself to see if I can get that stuff off there. And I don't really know where to begin with that. So if any of you guys out there know anything about this type of, if what I'm explaining to you makes any sense at all, and I'm going to get some more information from my computer guy so I know exactly what to look for. And hopefully I'll still be able to get that stuff, because there's just so much on there that that I will have lost. And a lot of that is the comic book. So I haven't really been doing a lot with the comic book, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't been doing the updates. But I was planning on still coming back and doing weekly updates just as a vlog to let people know what's going on in the interim while I'm waiting to figure out what's going on with the drive and everything. And it's kind of like one of those, when it rains it pours. I mean, there's so much stuff going on, most of it not good, and I don't want to. When I explain all the stuff that's going on, it's not like, I'm not trying to have like a pity party or anything like that, because I'm kind of beyond that. But just, again, these are like first world problems. I mean, there's people way worse off than me and everything, but but it has been a lot of things going on that's sort of prevented me to every time I come home and I'm about to do something, do this blog, something happens, whether it's, there was a comic book client project I was working on, and again, that stuff was lost. So I went to, I had to kind of recreate it and everything like that. And it was just, again, one problem after another. The way that I thought that was going to work, the way I was trying to build the pieces back up, didn't work. And then, so anyway, and of course, this is one of those situations where I had finished the project a long time ago, or not delivered it to the client because they weren't ready for it. I was supposed to send it out to the printer, but the printer didn't give me the information I needed, so it just kind of sat there, and it sat there for a month or two, and with nothing about the client. It was one of those hurry up and wait situations where, oh, we need this now, we need this is the deadline. So I got it to them on the deadline, and then they just sat around and did nothing with it for a month or two. And of course, when my hard drive crashed, then it's like, oh, we need that now. So that was kind of a mad rush to try to get that stuff done. And then there was just situation after situation. But that is finished. So at least all the client work that I had in the work is complete and out the door and everything. So that's good. It's barring any other like things that jump out, but I can't foresee anything like that happens because I think it's already been to the printer and all that kind of thing. So anyway, so that's some of the stuff that's been going on. Let's see. The other thing that's kind of been taking up a lot of my time is I ended up I'm taking a full-time job. I'm doing illustration and design, which is weird because this new job that when I first applied for it, it was for a graphic design position, and it was kind of like one of those things where it wasn't. That's not exactly. I mean, I do graphic design, and there's a lot of graphic design stuff I do like to do, like logos and that type of thing. But one of the things they do a lot of is catalog work, so it's a lot of stuff in InDesign and a lot of copy, and I'm more the design stuff. I like to do logos and all that, but not so much the pasting and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I applied for this job, but the interesting thing is once they saw kind of what I did as an illustrator, it seems like all they have me doing lately is just all illustration stuff, so it's pretty cool. And the graphic design stuff that I am doing is logos and things like that. So pretty cool. The bad thing is it does take a lot of my time away from the kind of stuff that I'm doing on the channel. But I'm trying not to let that. When I first decided to accept this job and everything, I didn't want it to interfere with my personal stuff and the vlogging and the YouTube videos and all that, because I'm still trying to allocate time for that. So that doesn't really get in the way so much. It's kind of the other things that have been happening that have made it difficult to do that. But anyway, I mean, I know I haven't been putting out these vlog videos, the Beyond 100 videos, but I'm still putting out like at least 2 videos a week. I've got the Miscrit series that I'm working on right now, where I design a creature from an old video game that I used to work on, and then the Fan Art Fridays. Every Friday I do some fan art sketches. Lately I've been doing sketch cards and things like that, which I've got some that I'll show you some of the stuff I've been working on. And I also do the Artcasters videos with Kevin Cross and Jeff Lafferty. So that's like 3 videos a week still. But just not these type of updates. So anyway, I wanted to come back on here and do these, and it's just been a challenge. Every time, like I said, I get home from work, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to do a video, and then something happens. The big thing that happened, besides my hard drive crashed, is my identity was stolen. I had it was about like a month ago, or 3-4 weeks ago. I got a letter on my door from a neighbor who found my mortgage statement. It was all weather damage and everything. They said they found it in the park while they were walking their dog, along with some other neighbor's mail. So somebody had stolen my mail, and then and I had an issue like this before. It was my grandma had sent. She always sends birthday money and cash and stuff. And it was getting intercepted. It would by the post office, somewhere in the post office, because she would drop it in the blue box, and they would slice it open and take the money out and then seal it back up. So somebody in the post office doing it. So I was just thinking, oh, maybe it's just somebody looking for cash or birthday money or something like that. But what ended up happening was they got it was my credit card statement. What they do is when they send you your credit card statement, they send you these little cashier's checks. So somehow they got my information from that, and they somehow they wrote one of these checks from my credit card for about $1,000, and then they just started applying for all these credit cards. So I knew something was wrong when I got home, and I see all these credit cards. I mean, tons of credit cards being sent to my house. Like every once in a while you get these, oh, you're pre-approved or whatever, but this was like a lot. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I get another letter from the post office saying that there was a request to change my address. So evidently what they were trying to do is they're trying to get all these credit cards, have it forwarded to a P.O. box, which I don't know. It seems like that's something that could be easily tracked. Like they just wait. If somebody finds out about it, they just wait for somebody to show up at this P.O. box and get them. But I don't know. So I mean, I'm still kind of in the middle of this. I haven't heard anything like lately, like within the past week, but I don't know. I went through all the necessary precautions and things like, or not precautions because it already happened, but you know, the steps that you take. And one of them is to contact like the credit bureaus. There's like 3 of them, and get a credit card statement. So I went through there. I called all the companies where somebody applied, you know, for a credit card or whatever. But I think there's still more out there, so I got to get another one of those statements. But yeah, so so far the only thing that I know about is that $1,000 that they got me from my credit card, and hopefully I'll get reimbursed, or that'll be covered or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, it's more of a time thing, just trying to fix all this and everything. So, you know, I have to cancel your credit cards and do all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of been a bit of a nightmare. And that's one of the main things that stopped me from putting these videos out. So I've kind of done all I can do right now until I figure out, like, if I, you know, it's just weird things have happened. Like I got a thing like UPS tried to deliver something to my house like 3 times and I wasn't there, and it's nothing I requested, and I don't know, you know, you think maybe this is part of the fraud or something or whatever, but why would somebody send something to my house and have it something that I have to sign for? I don't know, just weird stuff. So anyway, so yeah, that's that. And so anyway, excuse me, let's see. So where are we? So where we left off, we talked about the drive and everything like that, but it's been a while. It's maybe a month or more than a month, because we were getting ready for Halloween. So we were working on this Halloween haunt, and I kind of debated whether I wanted to show these because it's so far removed from Halloween. But you know, a few people were asking about it. So anyway, let me cut to that, and then I'll kind of show you some of the Halloween stuff that we worked on. All right, so this is our graveyard, and we try to build onto it every year and make it a little bigger and add new tombstones and things. This is our skeleton that's sitting on top of the cannon. The cannon actually fires. We've got it hooked up to a fog machine, so it shoots out smoke. This is our Davy Jones. We had this one last year. Let's see. Oh yeah, our stockade guy. This guy, his head kind of pops out at you as you walk by. This guy in the back that's hanging, he actually kicks. He's hooked up to a windshield wiper motor, and he kicks his legs. This guy is made from a shiatsu massager, so he looks like he's drunk and he's kind of moving around. This guy's just kind of hanging like in the gallows in this cage, kind of reaching out to you. And above him is the other skeleton with the key to the cage. And this is our drinking guy, and a lot of this stuff is blacklight sensitive, so we took highlighters and took them apart and put them in water, and it gives this real cool glowing effect with the blacklight. And then kind of end with, it's kind of hard to see, but that's our treasure chest, and that's our Halloween haunt for 2015. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what we did for Halloween. It's very sort of similar to what we did the previous year. We had some plans to do some cool stuff. We were trying to build this, and I mentioned this in the last video, and it didn't really work out, but we were trying to build this screen that shot fog down, and we're trying to project like these images over the fog. But the problem is, even the smallest bit of wind just blew the fog away, and it didn't work. So the only real way that you can do that is like in a controlled environment, like if you're doing a haunt like in like your garage or something where there's no wind. We still tried to do it, you know, we still had fog, and it kind of gave sort of a cool effect. I didn't get really pictures of it. One of those things that was hard to film, but so we had fog shooting, and we were projecting against like a wall behind it and everything. It looked okay, but all in all, it was kind of the same as the previous year. We added a few new things and everything, but there is a video, if you search back, or if I can remember, I'll put a link to it, but there's a video from last year where you can see kind of the haunt and everything, and I did kind of a video thing with that. So we're still in October. We're talking about October, and I participated in Inktober, and so I'll show you some of my Inktober sketches. I think there's a few that I'm missing that I haven't posted, but they weren't ones that I was particularly fond of. But I did start doing some cool stuff. I started working on this sort of a space opera concept design for some different characters and everything. and I didn't really think too much of the story behind it, but it might be something I can use some of these characters for something else. So I've got this guy. Let's see, can we focus on that? It's kind of bright. There we go. So he's sort of maybe a bounty hunter or something, or sort of a creature. I was thinking I tried to avoid doing fan art for the Inktober. I just kind of wanted to work on my own original stuff, but I was so into Star Wars, and I'm like, I want to, I'd like to do Star Wars, but I want to keep it just to my own original stuff. So I'm like, well, what if I do stuff that could sort of fit in the Star Wars universe, but isn't, or could be something else? So that's kind of what I was going for with these. So I built sort of a robot or a droid, or drew sort of a robot droid. He maybe he's an assassin or some kind of a robot, droid ninja or something like that. So we got that guy there. This is sort of my Han Solo-esque, maybe smuggler, hero type character. Then this is sort of the heroine. I kind of gave her a bullwhip. I thought it'd be cool. Maybe it was like an electric bullwhip, or can you, there. These lights are just flooding everything out. And then I don't know, this guy, I kind of like the way this guy turned out. He's kind of like lemur-esque, or maybe he's kind of the wise old sage or something like that. Maybe Yoda type or something like that. But anyway, so that's some of the stuff that I worked on for Inktober. And the other thing we were talking about from the last video, I had mentioned some getting ready for a convention, and this was kind of an unorthodox convention. It was a little different from other ones that I did. It was like a free convention. I didn't have to pay anything to exhibit, but I didn't really know what to expect, and I ended up doing that and everything, and we'll talk a little more about that. But here, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to show you my booth from that, and then we'll talk a little bit about how that went down. So we're going to cut to that. So here you can see the booth. It's kind of like an island of nerdy geekdom right in the middle of what looks like an art exhibit. All right, so I kind of feel like Gazbot when I'm doing these, because I'm doing all these cuts. Usually I don't do that. Usually it's just me sitting here talking to you and maybe showing you some artwork or anything. But anyway, so talk about this convention. It was at the Arizona State Fair. They were trying to do like a mini Comic-Con. They had did it one year before, so I had asked some of the exhibitors how it went, and they said it went pretty well. So, there was that. It looked like, okay, my whole thing going into this, I didn't have high hopes for it, but I figured I'd try it out, just an experiment to see, because I'd never done a show like this. And I figure, and at one point it's like, well, how can you lose? It's free. They're giving you a free table. But, you have your time to consider. I mean, you could be sitting at home working on artwork that could, you could profit from, rather than just sitting at a table and with nobody buying anything. So I didn't really know what to expect, and when I went there, most of my suspicions, kind of came to fruition. So one of the big problems was they had mentioned that there were going to be some promotion. There was no promotion whatsoever for this thing. There was nothing on the website. There were no signs or anything like that. There, no mention of it in the program that was supposed to be mentioned in the program and the website. Nothing. No. I mean, when I drove up there to unload and stuff, it was like, "What are you here for? What? No. I mean, I don't. Do you have a pass? Do you have a ticket? No, I don't have that. I'm supposed to be on a list." So eventually, I got through and everything, and then the parking, you couldn't go load up. Right, usually it was in like there's a stadium there where it used to be, the way it's laid out, that state fairgrounds, it used to be sort of the main, it built around the main, it's called the Coliseum, but that was the main concert venue way back in the day, and it's where the Phoenix Suns used to play a long time ago. So it was like a big thing, but since then it's kind of like there's really nothing big that happens there. It's sort of, everything's moved on to these big corporate owned, concert venues and things like that. But anyway, it is like a stadium, so typically, there's a thing where you drive down, you kind of unload. You couldn't do any of that. I had to park in the parking lot and wheel my stuff out. That was kind of a bummer, but what are you going to do? I've done that kind of thing before, so no big deal. You're supposed to get a couple passes. They only gave me one. Rolled my stuff in, and they only gave me like an hour and a half to set up. Now, if you've seen my display, it takes a while to set up. I don't think really, I think I think what they're thinking is more, oh, somebody rolls in, they put some prints on their desk and they sit there and sell them. So that's not really the way I present my stuff. So, I mean, this thing was going on while I'm still setting up and everything. It wasn't a big deal because it wasn't real crowded at the time, but I just felt weird, still setting everything up and other people are sitting. So I think they may have, it was very small, but it was in the good thing was it was they had it kind of in the middle of the art exhibit, like the fine art exhibit. Like, when you go to fairs, they'll have like student work or, professionals or whoever that exhibit their stuff, and they can win like ribbons and things like that. And it's just a big thing. So that was a good placement for it, because at least sort of the people going there are somewhat interested in artwork. But I don't know if anyone really even knew there was like a comic thing going on. So it was a different crowd than usual. A lot of, things that you wouldn't really get at a typical comic convention. A lot, I got a lot of, people picking up my comic and like, is this free? And it's like, no, that's not free. I'm selling this stuff. And I think the reason for that, because you don't get people walking up in a comic store or a comic book convention asking if your comic book is free. They just kind of know that. And I think the reason for that is because at like state fairs and events like this outside, they've got like the big communication company. I don't know where you are, but here we have like Cox and CenturyLink and things like that. Other places they have, other, whatever. But they've got companies like that, or just, the utility companies. And sometimes they'll have coloring books that they give away, or even their own little comics. So I think because of that, people were expecting that the comic was free. So I tell them, and they would kind of be like baffled, like, oh, really? Well, so that's how there's a lot of that type of thing. Just the culture was a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, there were probably, I think, maybe 10 people exhibiting, amidst, the other stuff, people going to look at artwork. But the good thing, I mean, the traffic was pretty good. But again, I think most of the people just didn't know what to make of this whole comic convention. And they're kind of like, well, what is this? And, why are you selling things in the middle of what looks to be, a museum type art exhibit setup? But, I think the majority of other people didn't really do very well. I didn't do very well. I think maybe I did better than everyone else there, which I guess is good for me, but not so good, still, that first Saturday, it was a Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, I didn't really do a lot, and I almost considered not going back. I had a couple people, ask if I was going to be back, and, I did. I figured, what the heck, I came back, and Sunday pretty much started out to the same way until the end. Like 2 or maybe 3 hours at the most before I was getting ready to pack up. I had a lot of people coming in to buy stuff. Not a lot. I mean, but way more than before. And I ended up, on Sunday, ended up doubling, I think, what I did on Saturday, which was weird. I mean, sometimes at a regular comic convention, you'll get that because sometimes people just wait till the end. But it didn't seem like that was the same thing, because it wasn't, it wasn't the same scenario where, the convention actually, I mean, the fair was open long after the convention, so I don't think people expected, the convention, because there's nothing in the program to tell anyone anything about it. So it wasn't like there was a mad rush to get there before everyone left, because there was nothing telling that people were going to shut down at like 6, I think, is that when we shut down. But the fair would go on till, I don't know, 10, 11 or whatever. But for whatever reason, at the end, I started making a lot of sales, and like, just like weird thing, like at the end, somebody came and they had a baby with them, and they asked if I could do something for the baby, and I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm like, whoa, wait, do you want me to draw the baby, or do you want me to draw a picture for the baby? And no, we want you to draw the baby. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really a portrait artist. Most of the stuff I do is more cartoony and comic book oriented. And they said, no, that's cool. That's what we want. So I said, okay, well, here's what I'll charge for that. I'll tell you what, if you don't like it, I won't charge you for it. But they ended up really liking it. So cool. Another cool thing was somebody came by that recognized me, or they didn't recognize me from the YouTube channel. not at first, but then they saw something that, like, wait a minute, that's where I know you from. So that was kind of cool. So they had seen some of my videos and everything. And I don't get that a lot. I don't have tons of followers, but it was just kind of a weird thing. Unless somebody's like actively, if I say, oh, I'm going to be here, and then somebody actively shows up to meet me or something. But this was just somebody that happened to, oh, oh yeah, I recognize you from that. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, so yeah, that's all in all, I probably would not do it again, but the experience, I guess, was good and everything. So yeah, that's kind of a wrap up of the free. So again, sometimes you get what you pay for, and if you get a booth for free, it might not, even though, you know, it might still not be worth your time anyway. And again, from what when I talked to people that had been there the previous year, they said this year was way worse and it just was not organized or whatever. So I'm not going to risk doing it again, but you know, you live and you learn, and you try things out, like this out, and see how they go. Other things. So I had been trying. I had missed my boat on another convention, the Tucson Comic Con. I was on the waiting list. Never heard anything. But my girlfriend has some family in Tucson, so we went to stay with them, and just went to the convention just as an attendee, not an exhibitor, just to check it out and everything. And so the day, you know, it started, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday morning, I checked my email, and they say, I get this email from the Tucson Comic Con saying we're a day in, but we have tables and booths available for a small fee or possibly free. So I don't know what the deal was. Maybe people didn't show up and claim their booths or their tables. But when we got there, there were like tables with nobody there and booths with nobody there. So, but the problem was Tucson's like a couple hours from you know, I live outside of Phoenix, but so a couple hours away, and you know, I didn't have the time to set everything up. So I'm like, well, that's kind of short notice. So I was kind of bummed about that, but it looked like a real cool show. I met some really cool people, and some people I've seen at other shows and everything. So I definitely want to get in there next year. It was definitely smaller than Phoenix Comic Con, but as far as the size of it, the traffic for the size of it was pretty good. It was still, for the amount of room they had, it was still kind of the same amount of people in comparison to how big the event was. So, and I think I think I could do pretty good at a show like that. So hopefully next year. And then Tucson is also doing another thing, like a smaller event called Tape, which is the Tucson Alternative Press Expo, which is similar to Ape, I guess. So I definitely want to try that out, because my stuff is definitely more alternative or indie. So anyway, and then coming up, I've got another convention. If you guys are going to be in the Phoenix area, and let's see, it's not this coming weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving, but the following weekend, which I think is December 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th, somewhere around there. I will be at the Phoenix Fan Fest, and I did this event last year. Was their first year. Wasn't great. They tried to rush the thing and do it like in 3 months, literally 3 months. They started this thing and they put on a convention. So it wasn't great. They didn't have a lot of guests. Like, you know, I'm not real big on the celebrity signings and stuff, but a lot of people are, and that's what kind of brings people in. But I looked at the website. They've got a lot of guests, both comic book, you know, people that people know, and like celebrity guests from sci-fi movies and TV and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll be a little bit better. We'll see how that goes, and you know, Christmas season, so we'll see how I do with that one. So I'm looking forward to that. So that'll about sum up the convention stuff. So anyway, what's the status on this? I should have started this at the beginning of the thing, and I know this is running long, but I've got a lot to cover because I haven't done one of these in a while. So Young and the Dead, I usually give my pitch. It's kids versus zombie stories, like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. These are the first 2 issues. If you've been following this whole journey, or some of it, you'll know that I've been working on issue 3. And that's, you know, I had everything, you know, penciled, inked, flatted, most of it shaded in. And that's when my computer failed and I lost pretty much everything. So I've just kind of been sitting here not wanting to do anything on the comic, but then I realized that I had like 3 or 4 pages to go before I completed all the shading, and then I would go back and do the lettering and everything. And then, so what I was thinking was, well, you know, while I'm waiting to see if I can recover this data, why don't I just work backward? Why don't I start, I already flatted everything, so I would have to reflat some of the later pages and everything. And another cool thing that I did get once this happened, I got a couple people, artist friends of mine on YouTube, that offered to help me flat and stuff, and they even offered to do it for free. I would have to do some kind of a trade out or something like that, just because I don't feel comfortable having people do stuff for free. So that might be a possibility if worse comes to worse. I don't really want to have to do that. But I do appreciate a couple of you guys that stepped up and did offer those services to me. That was really cool. But anyway, so as far as working backwards, I'll just reflat like the last 3 or 4 pages and recolor those. And the other thing that I forgot that I hadn't started doing that yet. This is kind of a new revelation. I was going to say resolution. That's later on. We'll talk about that kind of stuff, because hopefully next year will be way better than this year so far. This year started off good, but anyway, that's a whole nother episode. But the other thing that I didn't even think about was the cover. I hadn't done anything on the cover other than pencil and ink. So if you've been watching the Artcasters, you can see that I've been flatting and started doing some of the shading. So that's all I've done on the book so far. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that some people are going to ask, where's my book, when I go to this comic convention coming up, and I'm going to have to explain what the deal is, which kind of sucks, because this really was supposed to be done and premiered at this Phoenix Fan Fest. So that's that. Phoenix Fan Fest, or not Phoenix Fan, Fan Art Friday. I'll show you some of the stuff if you haven't been watching my Fan Art Fridays, I've been doing a lot of sketch cards lately, and I usually do like 3 an episode. So I've been doing Star Wars, Force Awakens, and I exhausted all like the major characters, or most of the major characters that we know. So I started getting into these real obscure background characters. So I'll show you some of these guys. This is flooding out. There we go. Don't know anything about this guy, and likely we won't know too much about him. He's probably just a background character, but here's another one. Let's see. This little droid robot, female robot droid, some sort of a pilot. Again, you can see me do all these on Fan Art Friday videos. Another real elephant-looking guy. Or girl, I can't really tell. And then I just recently started doing Masters of the Universe. So we've got He-Man, got Stratos, and Man-at-Arms here. And next up, this Friday, I will be doing the villains from He-Man. So definitely going to get Skeletor and some villains in there. So that's fun. And then who knows what I'll do next. The Star Wars is going to be coming out pretty soon, so soon I'll probably be doing more Star Wars as we reveal more of those characters and everything. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of what's going on. Sorry I haven't been updating with these in a while, but again, a lot's been happening, and hopefully things will start picking up. I thought, well, the worst is over, and then this is kind of fun. It's kind of messed up but funny in retrospect. I mean, it's going to cost me money again, which, all these problems end up costing me money. But I was out doing yard work, doing the weed whacking, and my weed whacker hit a rock and smashed it into my Arcadia door, this back sliding door, and smashed that out. So stuff like that keeps happening. And again, these are kind of first world problems. But, it's like, what else could go wrong? Hopefully nothing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to wrapping up this year, and I've got some cool stuff planned for next year, and hopefully we'll get to working on some of that stuff. So looking forward to that. So thanks for checking this out, and hopefully, I don't know, this is I think episode like 140, which is a big round number. So I don't know, my whole thing after I wrap this up, and I was going to try to wrap up the comic and then stop doing the Beyond 100s and just do like some sort of a new vlog. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll just wrap it up with this 140 and then come back with something else, or maybe I'll just keep doing updates. But hopefully in the first of the year, I'll have some sort of a new format or something. I don't know. We'll see. But if I don't see you guys on one of these, check me out on Fan Art Friday. You can check out the Miscript videos. Check me out on the Artcasters with Kevin and Jeff. I'm definitely around. Not so much with the vlogging lately. But hopefully this will kind of fix that situation. And for all you people who have been like, what's going on? What's going on? Not that there's a lot of people clamoring to see what I'm doing, but if you are one of the few people that are this is, I guess, the update for you. And then I'll see you guys around, and that is all.